Hello. It's live. All right. So I watched the what am I trying to say here? I watched Donald Trump's press conference today. I was listening to the Majority Report and it came on, so I paused the Majority Report. But then I was chatting in the Majority Report YouTube chat with people about it, so I kind of had a running feedback or example of my own thoughts because I remember writing them down. And I was blown away. I knew this was crazy and he was digging himself a hole. But, we're also, those of us that are not big fans of Trump, waiting to wonder, well, when does his rope run out with other people? What will the press notice? Like the press is so unreliable. They covered the Muslim ban that's not a ban as though the court rejected it because it was a Muslim ban, and no, I believe it was like due process. They didn't answer that part of the question. These are kind of important things, to get right. Or about the Ninth Circuit being so overturned. Yeah, but it's not the most overturned court. Like the average of overturns are like 70% or something. Because they only take cases that are on the edge. But anyway, um, so I wasn't sure how they would take it, but even Fox is kind of like, whoa, that was a little bit far. But it was crazy. Um, so many things. Uh, the guy that said, we don't think you or your staff is anti-Semitic, but there's been anti-Semitic, a rise in anti-Semitic action. What do you think about that? That was a liar question. This kind of reminds me of somebody that I talk to with some regularity. Um, or the black woman. Do you know people? You're black. Do you know any? I'll do the black caucus thing. I've heard they've got big caucuses. Um, and just making the joke. I don't call you the lion press anymore, Mr. CNN. Who he finally answered the questions of CNN. So obviously he's like, Spicer, you suck. We're doing it live. I'll go do it myself. I'm doing it live. I'm doing it live. And it's like there's not an infinite amount of rope if you're going to keep talking and saying things and doubling down on so many things. Like most presidents skirt around the edge, and this pisses us off as they skirt the edge of that law. They skirt the edge of the controlling authority thing, and that's scummy. And Trump, he's like, well, he's honest. He's going to go right through the center of the law and break there. But see, that's where you get in trouble. Anyway, so I watched it. I thought this would be interesting, though. This is the clips compiled by CSPAN. So I didn't have it here. Let's put that so people know what it is that I'm watching. About 15 minutes worth. And let's see if this is working. When I zoom them up, that looks about right. No, it's a little smaller. So we might do this. There we go. Oh, shit. Excuse me. Playback's not coming through the right device, which means you won't be able to hear it. How's this?
To be honest, I inherited a mess. It's a mess. At
Probably talking about his dad.
home and abroad. A mess.
Hundreds of thousands of jobs a month or every couple months, and it's a mess in your panicky head because there's still spiders out there.
Jobs are pouring out of the country. You see what's going on with all of the companies leaving our country, going to Mexico and other places. Low pay, low wages, mass instability overseas, no matter where you look. The Middle East, a disaster. North Korea, we'll take care of it, folks. We're going to take care of it all. I just want to let you know. I inherited a mess.
Thanks for taking care of it all. Do you ever see the jobs numbers? Let's bring those up real quick. Well, fuck it. Yeah. Anyway, I can show you a real mess.
Mara, Mara, go ahead. You were cut off pretty violently at our last news conference.
That's the one I was thinking of.
The C-SPAN networks bring you long-form public.
Mara, Mara, go ahead. You were cut off pretty violently at our last news conference.
Fire Mike Flynn.
Mike Flynn is a fine person, and I asked for his resignation. He respectfully gave it.
Doesn't that mean, hey, all you conservative guys, Critica, belly up to the bar here? This means he, he's a cuck, right? He's a cuck. Hey, everything's on the right side now. He's a cuck. I can point at the where I'm looking on the screen, and it's almost right. And do this. Be up there. He's a cuck because it's his tagline is "You're fired," and instead of that, he goes, "Could I have your resignation, please? But first, you have to have sex with my wife."
He is a man who there was a certain amount of information given to Vice President Pence, who's with us today,
Certain amount.
and I was not happy with the way that information was given. He didn't have to do that because what he did wasn't wrong. What he did in terms of the information,
So what's he talking about? He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to offer his resignation when it was asked for by the president, or the president didn't have to, because he's kind of saying that he had to let him go. He likes him. And it's the lying press's fault that he had to. And I would say the logical thing is he knew for weeks about it and he had to let him go after it became public. So I think the reason it's the lying press's fault is because they told everybody else what Trump already knew.
he
He was going to
saw
go for it.
what was wrong was the way that other people, including yourselves in this room, were given that information. Because that was classified information that was given illegally. That's the real problem.
Well, I don't think it's the real problem, but I will say it was illegal. Seems like it was illegal. So those people should have to pay the price. Um, Leaking isn't really as defensible as what I would classify as whistleblowing, but in the case of an illegal action, right, because all kinds of things get leaked. What people eat for dinner, what they said about an artist, who their favorite music is, things that might humiliate them or go against their brand or whatever. But if something illegal happens, then I believe people have a duty to whistleblow. I think it's impossible that there could be a law against reporting a violation of the law. I believe that laws about uh, secret operations are in fact wrong and potentially illegal according to other stronger laws like the Constitution. But be that as it may, um, this is still probably selective. Of course, he liked it when it was selectively the FBI leaking about Hillary, as we know well. And but anyway, be that as it may, yeah, I think those leakers probably will not be found, but that it's legit to want to prosecute a leaker like that. On the other hand, I would also want to prosecute somebody that didn't prosecute a known crime, right? They know that there was a crime and they should do something about it. You shouldn't hide it just because the government did the crime. Now, is the Intel world going to try to, the deep state, people are finally talking about that, going to try to take down Trump? The, Probably. This is not just a free release of information. Um, on the other hand, if it's because of illegal activities, then, oh, well, I guess they'll be able to do it. I mean, if you are doing illegal things that people can use to take you down, then would far prefer that they take you down than just blackmail you and collude.
And you can talk all you want about Russia, which was all a fake news, fabricated deal to try and make up for the loss of the Democrats, and the press plays right into it.
So that's an interesting thing because he resigned. The information was leaked. He did talk to them. They did talk about policies that, strictly speaking, they're not supposed to undermine. Um, there's a wiggle room because they were coming in. I think there's a common sense to say, well, you don't. It's not like somebody else representing themselves as an office of the government, though to a degree it is because he wasn't confirmed or in position, officially appointed. I don't think he was officially appointed. Could be wrong there. So anyway, go ahead, Don.
In fact, I saw a couple of the people that were supposedly involved with all of this. They know nothing about it. They weren't in Russia. They never made a phone call to Russia. They never received a phone call. It's all fake news. It's all fake news. The nice thing.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So what is the fake news here? Since that's all known stuff, uh, I do see that you know his head isn't doesn't seem that clear, and you try to find the sense of what's the rough. It's an impressionistic thing. And use your own imagination. Put detail into it yourself. And you know, possibly is he going to go with he's saying they're making it a bigger deal than it really was. They're making it look like more than it was. Because if that's the case, I think a more normal thing to do would be to come out and say what it was, what limits it. You made a mistake. We are planning to have a good relationship with them. He was wrong. He thought we would, stop the um, the brand new sanctions, or he was wrong. We weren't going to. Oh no, he was telling him a lie because he didn't want him to freak out about it. Or we had the view that Obama was trying to piss off the Russians and that it was utmost national security in order to mollify them. But I didn't know he was going to do what he did, or he should have just told the whole truth to Mike Pence. I guess he was afraid that you're not supposed to do foreign policy with the foreign guy. I mean, so many excuses, and he's not doing any of them, not even from his point of view. So it's a very confusing thing about how he's saying it's fake. It's also criminal leaking.
Thing is, I see it starting to turn, where people are now looking at the illegal. All right, I think it's very important. The illegal giving out classified information. It was, and let me just tell you, it was given out like so much. I'll give you an example. I called, as you know, Mexico. It was a very, very confidential classified call, but I called Mexico. And in calling Mexico, I figured, oh, well, that's nice. I spoke to the president of Mexico, had a good call. All of a sudden, it's out for the world to see.
Oh yeah, this part was interesting. I thought he has a good point. That all of this stuff is coming out. Sometimes you don't think about how it comes out because it's kind of normal. Press secretaries on the other side. Everybody releases a little something from both sides when you're having these kinds of exchanges. It's not in utter confidence. Um, but I thought it was interesting that he notices it. And then, of course, it's like his tweet. What about when?
It's supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be either confidential or classified in that case. Same thing with Australia. All of a sudden, people are finding out exactly what took place. The same thing happened with respect to General Flynn. Everybody saw this. And I'm saying, the first thing I thought of when I heard about it is, how does the press get this information that's classified? How do they do it? You know why? Because it's an illegal process, and the press should be ashamed of themselves. But more importantly, the people that gave out the information to the press should be ashamed of themselves.
Really ashamed. Why did you keep your vice president in the dark for almost 2 weeks?
Because when I looked at the information, I said, I don't think he did anything wrong. If anything, he did something right. He was coming into office. He looked at the information. He said, that's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be, and he didn't just call Russia. He called and spoke to both ways. I think there were 30 some odd countries. He's doing the job. You know, he was just doing his job. The thing is, he didn't tell our vice president properly, and then he said he didn't remember. So either way, it wasn't very satisfactory to me. And I have somebody that I think will be outstanding for the position.
So I wonder if that's the guy that turned it down later in the day.
It also helps, I think, in the making of my decision. But he didn't tell the Vice President of the United States the facts, and then he didn't remember. And that just wasn't acceptable to me. Yes. Okay, Jim?
Thank you very much. And just for the record, we don't hate you. I don't hate you.
Okay.
So pass that along. But,
Ask Jeff Zucker how he got his job. Okay?
if I may follow up on some of the questions that have taken place so far here, sir.
Well, not too
Which
many.
microphone?
Sir, I don't hate you.
You do have
The whole
other
year.
people.
A lot of people started their questions that way, I guess.
You do have other people. Your ratings aren't as good as some of the other people that are waiting.
Pretty good right now.
Okay. Go ahead.
If I may ask, sir, you said earlier that WikiLeaks was.
Did you catch that? That was a jab at their ratings, and CNN's like, our ratings are doing pretty good. You could make up your own numbers.
Revealing information about the Hillary Clinton campaign during the election cycle. You welcomed that. At one
I was
campaign
there.
rally, you said you loved WikiLeaks. At another campaign press conference, you called on the Russians to find the missing 30,000 emails. I'm wondering, sir, if you...
Well, she was actually missing 33, and then that got extended with a whole pile of
This is a weird thing, and then where he goes, but I did say 30. What was that about? It's just to keep the other person. I think he's just trying to be hard to pin down.
No, but I did say 30, but it was actually higher than that.
If I may ask you, sir, it sounds as though you do not have much credibility here when it comes to leaking, if that is something that you encourage during the campaign.
Good question. Ready?
If I may ask you that.
No, but let me do one at a
If I may
time.
ask
Do you
a
mind?
follow-up. Yes, sir.
All right. So, in one case, you're talking about highly classified information. In the other case, you're talking about John Podesta saying bad things about the boss. I will say
So I thought that was interesting that it's going to come down to whether it's classified information.
this. If John Podesta said that about me and he was working for me, I would have fired him so fast your head would have spun. He said terrible things about her.
It's
But it
terrible.
wasn't classified information. But in one case, you're talking about classified. Regardless, if you look at the RNC, we had a very strong, at my suggestion, and I give Reince great credit for this, at my suggestion, because I know something about this world, I said I want a very strong defensive mechanism.
As a software engineer, I really appreciate that he knows about computer security to say, I want it strong. Because I know a lot of people that can't do that.
I don't want to be hacked. And we did that. And you have seen that they tried to hack us and they failed. The DNC did not do that. And if they
So the question is, you praised hacks when they were against Hillary, and now you say they're bad. That is a contradiction.
did it, they could not have been hacked. But they were hacked and terrible things came in. And, you know, the only thing that I do
The way he talks is very interesting. Terrible things came in.
think is unfair is some of the things were so, they were, when I heard some of those things, I picked up the papers the next morning and said, oh, this is going to be front page. It wasn't even in the papers.
Okay, this is another one of these double thinking meanings I think he has, honestly seen it from his point of view of why in his head this all makes sense. Is like people covered those emails, but he's trying to say, no, the certain things that were most terrible about him weren't in the paper. But there were headlines about the tapes, but not about the things he's thinking of, which probably he just heard from someone and weren't even in them because, like, right, he read them all? Don't think so.
Again, if I had that happen to me, it would be the biggest story in the history of publishing or the head of newspapers. I would have been the headline in every newspaper.
So pace yourself, because that's true. And since you know that's true, I'd start to bank on it.
I mean, think of it.
You attract a lot of press when you say whatever. So you, of course, the thing is, It was a big enough news story that every voter in America knows about it. The hacked emails.
They gave her the questions to a debate, and she should have reported herself. Why didn't Hillary?
See, I love this standard because, see, standards like this are difficult. You're the president. Once you win, it's not like winning uh, board chairman at your country club where now people have to kiss your ass till the next election. It's not how it works because it's not like a deal where you force and bend people's arms, and in the end, if the deal works out, it's because those people were like, yeah, well, I want this enough to let my arm be bent. This is our country. We're here no matter what, even if you win the presidency.
Hillary Clinton announced that, I'm sorry, but I have been given the questions to a debate or a town hall, and I
See, we can already see ethics like that, that's not their standard.
feel that it's inappropriate,
Just for other
and
people.
I want to turn in CNN for not doing a good job.
Want to turn in CNN.
Just something that John and Carl was asking you about. You said that the leaks are real, but the news is fake. I guess I don't understand. It seems that there's a disconnect there. If the information coming from those leaks is real, then how can the stories be
No, the
fake?
reporting is fake.
And if I
Look,
may ask,
look,
I just want to ask
Jim, you know
one-
what it is? Here's the
Okay, that's right. So he asked that, and then he says the reporting is fake. So that's like what I was saying before, yeah, which I had seen this. So it's like, okay, that's where I got that idea that was his take on it. The reporting is fake.
the public isn't, they read newspapers, they see television, they watch. They don't know if it's true or false
We have our ways, some of us.
because they're not involved.
We're not involved.
I'm involved. I've been involved with this stuff all my life.
You know what he's talking about? The business. He's been involved. The family thing,
But I'm involved.
Involved, baby.
So I know when you're telling the truth or when you're not.
Of course, because he's like Santa Claus.
I just see many, many untruthful things. And I'll tell you what else I
Coming out of my mouth. No, it's true that the press is very, very untruthful. I mean, it's a silver lining that this is shaking him up. But the kinds of things that he's talking about being untruthful is funny.
see. I see tone. You know the word tone. The tone is such hatred.
I didn't know he was sensitive enough to realize that, yeah, that's because we hate you.
I'm really not a bad person, by the way. No, but the tone is such.
You're not doing a good job of proving it, Donald.
I do get good ratings, you have to admit.
And some people have a different idea of the kind of person they're looking for, and it's a pretty big world, and it's pretty hard to be a nice person from everybody's point of view. Like some of us don't like grandiose, tacky braggarts that own real estate. Some of us do.
At that. The tone is such hatred. I watched this morning a couple of the network, and I have to say, Fox and Friends in the morning.
As opposed to his cheery tone. He can call Mexicans, immigrants, rapists in a cheery tone. And yet that's bullshit too, because this is a real cheerful tone you've got, Donald.
They're
It's
very
just
honorable.
madness.
They're
You know what? It is madness, but I did want to say this. I mean, I'm kind of over worrying about it because, this is the American system. It's like Thomas Jefferson said, every 50 years you should have a you should have a comedy president.
very, not because they're good, because they hit me also when I do something wrong.
I talked over it, but he's saying how Fox and Friends is who he's just talking about. They hit him, man. They hit him.
They have the most honest morning show. That's all I can say. It's the most honest. But the tone, Jim, if you look, the
In his defense, all morning shows are crap.
hatred, sometimes somebody gets, well, you look
He says, we don't hate you, sir.
at your show that goes on at 10 o'clock in the evening.
He knows to his credit, he watches the news programs. He doesn't go deeper, which is not good for a president. But like Sarah Palin's like, what shows do you watch? What newspapers do you read? All of them. The general ones, the ones you'd want to watch.
You just take a look at that show. That is a constant hit. The panel is almost always exclusive anti-Trump. The good news is he doesn't have good ratings. But the panel is almost exclusive anti-Trump. And the hatred and venom coming from his mouth, the hatred coming from other people on your network. Now, I will say this. I watch it. I see it. I'm amazed by it. And I just think you'd be a lot better off. I honestly.
He's kind of like one of us vloggers, right? I hate it, but I watch it. I'm feeling like he's like me now. This is like me. Gary, I hate it. I watch it. Actually, I haven't been watching Gary the last 4 hours. To me, and then it was about an hour. I couldn't watch that he did the height of the day because he was talking about height of the day, sucking his dog's dick. Oh yeah, this is a political thing. I'm supposed to stay on subject.
They do. The public gets it, you know. Look, when I go to rallies, they turn around, they start screaming at CNN. They want to throw their placards at CNN, you know.
Yeah, that's a great thing, you know, but they're not violent or anything.
I think you would do much better by being different. But you just take a look. Take a look at some of your shows in the morning and the evening. If a guest comes out and says something positive about me,
What about he likes the ones in the afternoon, I guess.
it's brutal. Now, they'll take this news conference. I'm actually having a very good time, okay? But they'll take this news conference. Don't forget, that's the way I won. Remember, I used to give you a news conference every time I made a speech, which was like every day. Okay? No, that's how I won. I won with news conference and probably speeches. I certainly didn't win by people listening to you people, that's for sure. But I'm having a good time. Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting
No, but if you know it's a bit of a rant and a rave.
and raving. I'm just telling you. You know,
Come
you're
on,
dishonest
be
people.
honest.
But I'm not ranting and raving. I love this. I'm having a good time doing it. But tomorrow the headlines are
I
going
believe
to
that.
be, Donald Trump rants and raves. I'm not ranting and raving.
No, but if you do this and you know that's going to be the result, why would you keep trying to do it? Because you're going to win with the public, is the answer. This is what's going to win with the public. So I guess that'll be interesting to see. But, you know, if it wins with part of the public, then it's just going to be solidifying these divisions that we have. But fine, that's not your fault, as you pointed out. We were already divided. You just took advantage of it. You're just the kind of tumor that can work its way into the system and take hold when we're this divided. So it isn't Trump's fault. And I sincerely believe it isn't Trump's fault that he's a symptom. And besides, it's like Thomas Jefferson said.
Go ahead.
One more follow-up.
Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more?
What I think is funny is he's toying with him. He feels like he's toying with him like a cat toys with a doomed mouse.
Sit down.
I think it's debatable if it turned out that way.
Just because of the attack of fake news and attacking our network, I just want to ask you, sir.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
Go ahead.
Real news, Mr. President. Real news.
And you're not related to our new.
I am not related, sir. No. I do like the sound of Secretary Acosta.
I looked at that name. I said, wait a minute. Is there any relation there, Alex Acosta?
I'm sure you checked that out, sir.
I actually thought this was funny, but then when he said about the family tree, it started to get creepy. But I thought this was funny. I mean, and like a good side of Trump. And as a matter of fact, I think Trump will never succeed if he isolates himself from the press. He has to take his chances and do this kind of thing. It is true. He needs to be the communicator. If you deal with him a lot, you'll start to realize that some of the stuff that seems crazy and abrasive is he'll be friendly too. So I think that's his best chance with people. And this is maybe a little bit confrontational, but maybe it's just an opening. I actually do think that, though, yeah, I think this press conference was crazy. I think it's good, and he should keep doing it, and he could get better at it. And even if he doesn't, this is a more honest way for Trump in particular to create a message, because no matter what everybody else says, and it always changes, and one day his surrogates say he's standing behind Flynn, the next day he's firing him. It's better just to get it from Trump. So, credit to Trump in that case. And here he's trying to be funny, and it is, I thought, slightly presidentially funny, and there's a building rapport aspect to it. But then I thought he went a little bit far with the, this whole press conference, this 15 minutes was like an hour, and this press conference he overshared, and that's, which is, I've done that, I do that, it's not a problem in itself, which involves always one sentence too many.
I checked it. They said, no, sir. I said, do me a favor, go back and check the family tree. Okay.
But aren't you concerned, sir, that you are undermining the people's faith in the First Amendment, freedom of the press of this country, when you call stories you don't like fake news? Why not just say it's a story I don't like?
I do that.
Call it fake news.
No, I
You're
do that.
undermining confidence in our news media.
Here's the thing.
Isn't
Okay,
that important?
I understand what you, and you're right about that, except this. See, I know when I should get good and when I should get bad. And sometimes I'll say, wow, that's going to be a great story, and I'll get killed. I know what's good and bad. I'd be a pretty good reporter, not as good as you. But I know what's good.
So
I know
humble.
what's bad. And when they change it and make it really bad, something that should be positive, sometimes something that should be very positive, they'll make okay. They'll even make it negative. So I understand it. So because I'm there, I know what was said, I know who's saying it, I'm there. So it's very important to me. Look, I want to see an honest press. When I started off today by saying that it's so important to the public to get an honest press. The public doesn't believe you people anymore. Now, maybe I had something to do with that. I don't know. But they don't believe you. If you were straight and really told it like it is, as Howard Cosell used to say, right?
Then Trump wouldn't be president.
Of course, he had some questions also. But if you were straight, I would be your biggest booster. I would be your biggest fan in the world, including bad stories about me.
What bullshit?
But if you go, as an example, you're CNN, I mean, it's story after story after story is bad. I won. And
See, I won. That's the part I was saying about winning like an election to be the chairman of the board at your country club. Once you win, they're supposed to start kissing your ass afterwards and say that you walk on shit or water or whatever. That's not how the government can work, because, see, we're not in this because we finally decided, a deal we couldn't refuse. No, we lost an election and we now have no choice, and you're skating along whether we're still free people or not. Are we ignored? Our opinions are ignored. Half of the people, what they want doesn't matter anymore. We're going to do it the way you like it, and we're just going to find out it's great. Okay, but this is obviously not realistic to think we're going to go do that willingly. It's going to be kicking and screaming, and you might not be able to drag us down that road. That's welcome to the free world.
the other thing, chaos. There's zero chaos. We are running, this is a fine-tuned machine. And Reince happens to be doing a good job, but half of his job is putting out lies.
I love that. Half of Rand's he just said, did you hear that? Come on. He just said half of Reince Priebus's job is putting out lies. Are you sure it's only half, Donald?
I mean, it's
He meant
story
fires.
after story after story.
Caused by
is
lies.
bad. I won.
I won,
And
man.
the
What's
other thing,
going on
chaos.
here?
There's zero chaos.
This prize
We are running,
sucks.
this is a fine-tuned machine. And Reince happens to be doing a good job, but half of it.
Hey, when I win one of Jimmy No Socks's awards, it's like an award. I get a free dinner. What kind of an award is this? This fucking sucks. Oh no, you didn't. Right there.
Putting out lies by the press. You know, I said to him yesterday, the story after story is bad. I won. And the other thing, chaos. There's zero chaos. We are running, this is a fine-tuned machine. And Reince happens to be doing a good job, but half of his job is putting out lies by the press. You know, I said to him yesterday, this whole Russia scam that you guys are building so that you don't talk about the real subject, which is illegal leaks. But I watched him yesterday working so hard to try and get that story proper. And I'm saying, here's my chief of staff, a really good guy, did a phenomenal job at RNC. I mean, he won the election, right? Won the presidency. We got some senators.
See, the thing is, my theory is you don't really win until you're able to lead successfully, right? It's not like we're voting on American Idol when we elect a president. We like you best. No, we decided to see how you do.
We got some all over the country. You take a look. He's done a great job. And I said to myself, you know, and I said to somebody that was in there, I said, you take a look at Ryan's. He's working so hard just putting out fires that are fake fires. I mean, they're fake. They're not true. And isn't that a shame? Because he'd rather be
If it's not true, how can it be an illegal leak? If somebody is slandering you, if it's fake, then there isn't even a leaker.
working on health care. He'd rather be working on tax reform, Jim. I mean that. I would be your biggest fan in the world if you.
That's right. And that's why it's this everybody, all progressives. This is why it's productive to continue to hassle Donald Trump where he has gone over the line. Because not only are you addressing things that are beyond the line and maybe people could learn a lesson from it if you're successful especially, but even if you're not, but also they'd rather be privatizing Medicare than dealing with this kind of Russian story.
Treated me right now. I sort of understand there's a certain bias, maybe by Jeff or somebody, you know, what it would.
It's almost over.
Reason. But, and I understand that, but you've got to be at least a little bit fair, and that's why the public sees it. They see it. They see it's not fair. You take a look at some of your shows, and you see the bias and the hatred, and the public is smart. They understand it. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, when you say the inner cities, are you gonna include the CBC, Mr. President, in your conversations with your urban agenda, your inner city agenda, as well as?
Am I going to include?
Are you going to include the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional?
I thought it was good she didn't stick with CBC, so it wasn't some sort of a gotcha. Initials you might not know. And clarified the correct, the Congressional Black Caucus.
Well, I would. I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours?
Just a reporter.
No, set up the meeting.
I know some of them, but I'm sure.
Let's go. Set up a meeting. I would love to meet with the Black Caucus. I think it.
What the fuck was that shit about? What? That was like totally not racist, first of all. I want to make that clear. It was just weird in a totally not racist, right? What the fuck? Oh, you gotta love Thomas Jefferson. The man had a sense of comedy. Not really.
It's great, the Congressional Black Caucus. I think it's great.
That's good news. I did not know he was a big fan of the Congressional Black Caucus. That's awesome. Well, I'll put that in the bank and write that down in my notes, because whenever he says something, you can rely on it. If he says it a million times, doesn't stop saying it. And by the way, when he said he's releasing his taxes, right? Kellyanne said he wasn't going to. Last I heard from this motherfucker, he was going to release his taxes.
Actually thought I had a meeting with Congressman Cummings, and he was all excited. And then he said, "Oh, I can't move. It might be bad for me politically. I can't have that meeting." I was all set to have the meeting. You know, we called him, and he was all set. I spoke to him on the phone. Very nice guy.
I hear he wanted that meeting with you as well.
He wanted it, but we called. They can't make a meeting with him. Every day I walk in, I said, I would like to meet with him because I do want to solve the problem. But he probably was told by Schumer or somebody like that, some other lightweight. He was probably told.
He just has.
He was probably.
He's totally like Gary. He has to cut somebody down every bubble that's still in the word. I mean, whatever. Lightweight. I mean, I agree. Again, Schumer is a lightweight.
Told.
But you should be able to handle him then. And it looks like Schumer has a few parliamentary procedures he's, for some reason, out of the blue, willing to pull. Somebody told him.
Don't meet with Trump. It's bad politics, and that's part of the problem in this country. Okay, one more.
Ooh, I can't wait till that one gets dug into. Could be true.
Go ahead.
Um, he didn't show the one where the guy. They didn't cut the one where the guy was like, "Hey, I think anti-Semitism's on the rise in this country. What do you want to do about it?" You're a liar to ask me that question. It's the most insulting question ever, and I love Jews more than anybody. I'm a big fan of Jews myself. But all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Um, yeah, if anybody ever wants to meet in any middle ground, point the way, because I don't see